So welcome to another tutorial from Bubble Tech Tips. Today I'm going to take you through um, a basic feature that basically lets you imitate a user so you can test out your environment. And you're going to use this quite a bit because when you have a system, you're going to have different levels of users. You're going to have a standard user, you're going to have admin, you might have super admin. And so it's important that you can test these environments because once we get to the point where we're limiting access to certain things or restricting filters, it's going to be important that you have this information. So let's go ahead and jump in. So let me put you back on the index so you guys can see what you're used to. We're on the Fun Directory website. Great website. Terrible design. But if you go to dashboard, if you remember, I put a profile image here. And just for fun, because I think this will make it more consistent, let me go ahead and put in the user's first name. So if you noticed, I put a little text box there, which we already talked about in previous videos. And here I said that I wanted to do something dynamic. Dynamic means it changes. So I'm going to say dynamic current user. And I want to know his first name. So here's something I didn't know when I started out. I assumed that I could just type next and I would have a space, but there's not. You kind of have to create a little space. So I did that, click down here, and I'm going to hit a space bar. There we go. Now, if I click it now, I can do current user again, and I can do last name. So now we've got a little space there, and it will show the current user's first and last name. Now, what you're going to see is it's kind of cut off, and that's okay. That's really just a preview. It does a little preview of this, and this is not a very good name. So let's do text current user name. All right. So that's on body. I don't really like that style, but we haven't gotten to customizing styles yet. So I'm just going to make it white, make it bold, and I'll probably make it 12. Like I said, this is not going to be the best design, but it should work. So we've got that up there. We've got a profile image, but we've got no user signed in. So when we do preview, absolutely nothing happens up here. So let's go to data. And you can see I've got 2 fake users that have been created. Fort Collins, Colorado. It's a good place. Let's go ahead and run it as him. There we go. Look at that. So we've got Josh Harnett. If you're as old as I am, you know who he is. And you can see his emails up here, josh@fundirectory.com. We can log out. And this is really weirdly shaped, but you can see that it basically brought in the user. But that's fine, but let's see what happens if we run in as Tom. Oh, there's Tom Hanks. He's a good guy. And one thing you'll know about Tom is I always make him my admin. I just think he's good-hearted, so he's always the admin. So if you look in here, I've added a few new data types. So let's talk about those. Under user, we had our standard ones we had before, but now we have is admin. And by default, I make it false. I don't want to accidentally have an admin when I shouldn't. And then we've got is standard user, and I make that true. I want to make sure no matter what happens, everyone is standard. And that's just really a data security thing. You don't want to have an accidental glitch where somebody becomes an admin they shouldn't be, then they can see data they shouldn't. So I added those 2. And if you watch my previous videos, you know how I did that. But if I go over to app data, I created these using the new entry. But if you go over here to edit, somebody you've created, you've got all their information here. And you can see you can go in there and change that. And they have these unique IDs, which is basically something that Bubble creates. It's pretty useful later on. So I'm going to say cancel on that. We've got Josh over here. He is not an admin, but he is a standard user, which you see over here. We'll cancel this. So when you do run as, you can run as any of your fake users, but what's really beneficial is if you build this for like a SaaS application, you can actually run it as the user and kind of troubleshoot. Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, yes, there's not much code in here. There is some. But the truth is, you're going to hit glitches. Everybody does. It's how you respond to those glitches is what is important. So we'll talk about basic troubleshooting later on. But you can see there, I just basically run as that user, and then I'm running as them. And we've got it right here. So that is how to run as another user. And I'm not going to stop the video right there because, gosh, that would be way too short. So let's just go ahead and add one more thing in here for fun. So when we came in here, we got the user first name and last name. Notice it's that Lato font. That's probably not going to be great for accessibility. on other browsers. So I'm going to click that. We'll choose Arial. Now, I've mentioned this a bunch, creating styles, but I think it's about time we just go ahead and create one. So we've got Arial here. We've got bold, white, 12. That's great. Everything's good. So if I come over here to style, I can choose from these styles. Or I can scroll down to the bottom and say create new style. Once it does this, it brings me to let me name a style. Let's see, what do we want to call this? General, white, and we'll just say 12 because this is size 12. All right, so it saves it on that one. But what's really neat is we've talked so far about design, workflow, data, but there's a styles tab. You can either access it by going here, or you can just click edit style right there. And it drops you right in here where you're able to make changes. So you can say, I want it to be a different color, or I don't want it to be bold anymore. And why does that matter? It matters because if you give multiple things this style and then decide later on it doesn't look good or you need to change something, you only have to change it one time. Let's see how that works. So we've got, I just copy and pasted this. Copy and paste works fine. I'm going to click in here and we're going to delete what's in here. All right. I'm going to do that insert dynamic data and we'll say current user. And I'm going to say, gosh, what do we want to say? Email. I'll put the email there. And we'll preview it. And notice that it actually saves the last user that you had, you were kind of playing with. And so you want to be careful of that sometimes. But we've got Tom Hanks, tom@fundirectory.com. It's a little small. And I know you're thinking that too. So if I come over here, oops, I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to say, you know what? I don't really like that because it's so small. So I'm going to edit the style. I'll make it, instead of 12, let's do 13. And it's automatically going to change it. So now see how that overlap? That's actually okay. It's not going to matter when you go to preview. See, it's a little bit bigger. It's not perfect, but you can see the point. One change to a style means that other things get changed too. That's a basic web development concept. CSS, style sheets. And Bubble is also heavily reliant on those for design. So you now have an idea of how to do styles, and you also know how to do the directory. So you got a bonus. If you have any questions, you can leave comments and ask for it. I'm not going to create videos on everything because I know there's a lot of videos out there. But I'm going to try to cover a few more basics before I get into advanced stuff. If you like it, though, subscribe so I know people actually care. Thanks.